So when I was on Twitter and I had stumbled upon this little snippet from season 6, yes, I mean season 6 of Miraculous Ladybug, I was dumbfounded. Firstly, by the fact that Marinette is still being the obsessive weirdo girlfriend instead of the chill babe who finally got that man that she's been pining for. Oh no, it gets worse. So there's this new girl, Blondie, and she's already shaking in her boots somehow. Tell me why. Streets are saying she pretended to be akumatized? Is that what happened in the scene? She pretends to be akumatized and now is the cause for this girl's leg, her prosthetic leg, crushing to pieces. Mind you, she is a Paralympic athlete. Oh my days. If Thomas Asterisk wasn't hanging on to the plot line that Marinette and Adrien will never know each other's secret identities in order to continue to sell us more movies, toys, etc., or whatever it is that he sells. Today we are going to be breaking down Miraculous Ladybug, the obsession with male characters, and the overall problematic writing of women. This is going to be a little bit of a long one, so grab your food, your snacks, sit down with me. But before we get into this, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. That is the most important thing. And if you're not subscribed, then what are you doing? We do fun shit over here. Okay, let's get into this deep dive video analysis. Miraculous Ladybug is a popular French animated series that has captivated audiences worldwide with its vibrant animation, superhero themes, and ever-complicated love square between Marinette Dupain-Cheng, Ladybug, and Adrien Agreste, Cat Noir, and their respective alter egos. The series, which follows two high school students who transform into superheroes to protect Paris from supervillains, has garnered a dedicated fanbase, and its blend of action, romance, and coming-of-age storylines has made it a standout in the world of animated television. However, despite its success and appeal, Miraculous Ladybug is not without its flaws. One of the most glaring issues that fans and critics alike have noticed is the way in which the show treats its female characters, often reducing them to mere plot devices in the context of their relationships with other male characters. We'll discuss how this could have been a show that subverts traditional gender roles and embraces a more progressive narrative, yet ultimately falls into familiar patterns that hinder the growth of its female characters. The love square and the series' core themes. The love square, comprising of Marinette, Ladybug, Adrien, Cat Noir, their superhero personas, and their secret identities, is the central conflict driving the narrative of Miraculous Ladybug. This dynamic is inherently complex, as both characters are unaware of each other's true identity, leading to a tension-filled relationship that fuels much of the plot. At the heart of this love square is the idea of unrequited love. Marinette harbors feelings for Adrien, while Adrien is secretly in love with Ladybug, unaware that Marinette is the one behind the mask. This creates a constant back and forth, miscommunication, and emotional turmoil that forms the cornerstone of the narrative tension of the show and has lasted ever since I was 13 years old till a ripe old age of 23. By March. At the heart of this love square is the idea of unrequited love. Marinette harbors feelings for Adrien, while Adrien is secretly in love with Ladybug, unaware that Marinette is the one behind the mask. This creates a constant back and forth, miscommunication, and emotional turmoil that forms the cornerstone of the narrative tension in the show. While this provides plenty of room for comedy, drama, and romantic escapades, the love square also becomes a crutch, repeatedly overshadowing other aspects of the characters' lives, such as their personal growth, friendships, and other heroic responsibilities. The centrality of this romance often detracts from the more profound themes that the show could explore, such as teamwork, identity, or the challenges of adolescence. Miraculous Ladybug is marketed as a superhero show, but the narrative is often dominated by the romantic plot lines, particularly this love square. The imbalance between action and romance is a recurring issue, as the romantic tension between Marinette and Adrien frequently take precedence over their superhero duties, leading to missed opportunities to focus on their development as individuals or as heroes. For instance, Marinette's heroic decisions are often swayed by her romantic feelings for Adrien, and her obsession with him sometimes jeopardizes her responsibility as Ladybug. Similarly, Adrien's dual identity as Cat Noir becomes less about his growth as a hero and more about his emotional confusion regarding Marinette and Ladybug. The show fails to fully explore the superhero aspects of their lives, instead often relegating them to secondary plots, which makes the narrative feel unbalanced. While Marinette is positioned as the protagonist, the show frequently sidelines her growth as a character in favor of her obsession with Adrien. Instead of exploring Marinette's development as a young woman learning to balance her personal and superhero lives, her identity often gets overshadowed by her feelings for Adrien and the constant tension of the love square. Other prominent female characters such as Chloe Bourgeois, Ms. Bustier, and Natalie are similarly defined by their relationships with men. Chloe's jealousy of Ladybug and her rivalry with other girls for Adrien's attention reduce her to a stereotypical mean girl trope, despite her potential for a deeper character arc. Ms. Bustier's storyline in Season 2 focuses on her emotional attachment to others, making her a victim of her own sentimental nature rather than a fully realized character in her own right. Similarly, Natalie's character arc centers around her unreciprocated feelings for Gabriel Agreste, which defines her entire narrative trajectory. Instead of offering a nuanced exploration of her loyalty, dedication, or personal sacrifice, the show reduces her to a supporting character whose value is determined by her connection to Gabriel, a male character who is primarily focused on his own obsession with his deceased wife, Emily. Miraculous Ladybug has the potential to subvert traditional gender roles, offering a narrative in which its female characters, especially Marinette, could be written as strong, independent individuals with their own storylines that don't only revolve around men. Marinette's journey as Ladybug could focus more on her evolution as a hero, with the romance plot taking a secondary role, allowing the show to explore themes of leadership, self-empowerment, and teamwork. It's crucial that the female characters in the show are not just defined by their interactions with the other male characters, but also by their own personal growth, desires, and ambitions. Furthermore, supporting female characters could give more room for growth and development that doesn't center around relationships with male characters and romantic frustration. We are going to start this deep dive by diving into Season 1 of Miraculous Ladybug's episode, Marinette's obsessive jealousy over Adrien's friendships. Her early stalking tendencies are highlighted, such as stealing Adrien's schedule to plan further interactions. Marinette wakes up excited about Adrien's birthday and immediately practices saying happy birthday to him while tripping over herself. She looks at photos of Adrien on her computer and repeatedly says happy birthday.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday, Adrien.
Even accidentally saying it to her mom instead of focusing on her day-to-day routine. Marinette struggles with building up the courage to give Adrien the gift that she made. Her emotions overwhelm her to the point where she hides behind a banister. When Alia pushes her to face Adrien, she stumbles, stutters, and even babbles, unable to communicate clearly, acting like a total Justin Bieber fangirl.
Hi, I'm in Adrien's class and did I already say that?
The chokehold that Adrien had on these girls was embarrassing. A 14-year-old Naya can agree. After Marinette leaves the gift for Adrien, she dances all excited, focusing entirely on his reaction to this said gift. She freezes up in panic upon realizing that she forgot to sign the gift, and in normal Marinette fashion, prioritizing fixing this oversight over her other responsibilities. Despite the risk of delaying her transformation into Ladybug, Marinette sneaks into the Agreste mansion during the party to sign the gift. Marinette reacts jealously when Chloe dances with Adrien, even wasting her lucky charm powers to change the music out of spite.
There's no way this is happening. Lucky charm!
At the end of the episode, Marinette chooses to keep her role in giving Adrien the scarf a secret, prioritizing his happiness over her own. Alia is another person that gets on my nerves because she's always making Marinette, she's always warming her up, charging her, putting the battery in her back to do some dumb shit. And it's like, Alia, are you her friend or her foe? Alia consistently pressures Marinette to overcome her shyness and give Adrien the gift. She physically pushes Marinette out of hiding despite Marinette's visible discomfort. She actively assists Marinette in attempting to deliver the gift to Adrien, even encouraging her to tamper with the Agreste mansion's mailbox. During the party, Alia helps Marinette find the gift in Natalie's office so Marinette can sign it, encouraging her fixation instead of questioning the lengths that Marinette is willing to go for Adrien. Valid questions. Chloe realizes she forgot to get Adrien a birthday gift and lies about having one, blaming a non-existent delivery issue. She orders Sabrina to find a replacement gift immediately, delegating the task without taking responsibility. Chloe forces herself into Adrien's personal space at the party, asking the bubbler to play a slow song so she can dance with him. Like, what? She tries to kiss Adrien during the slow dance, ignoring his clear discomfort and leaning away from her advances. If it's one thing about the girls in the Miraculous Ladybug show, they did not know how to chill. They were harassing this guy. This was SH. This was sexual harassment at this point, because come on. I'm not making this up. Also, by the way, I don't know if you guys got the vibe. This is a Chloe Bourgeois kind of inspired. Like, this is the best I could find. Like, I just didn't have the money to go buy costumes, so we're gonna be doing closet cosplay. Back to the video. Let's talk about the episode Dark Cupid, which is probably one of the more interesting episodes of Miraculous Ladybug because the dynamic is off the charts. So in this, Chloe is showing her real stereotypical mean girl essence, with her actions revolving around her crush on Adrien. Firstly, let's get into Marinette's obsession to the point whereby she rummages through a trash can just to retrieve a crumpled note that Adrien discarded. This action highlights her inability to let go of even the smallest connection to him, displaying an unhealthy fixation. Tiki, who is an instigator of all instigators, maybe even worse than Alia sometimes. Tiki suggests the note could be about Marinette, but despite her skepticism, Marinette immediately fantasizes that it is and becomes ecstatic. Her extreme reaction shows her desperate hope for reciprocation. Marinette struggles with writing a love letter to Adrien and obsesses over every word, which demonstrates her perfectionism and overthinking when it comes to him. After sending the letter, Marinette becomes visibly panicked and full of self-doubt, believing Adrien might behave cruelly like Chloe. Her emotional instability over imagined outcomes, those are obsessive. Chloe's obsession with Adrien is a new level altogether, okay? At first, when I saw them, I thought they were cousins. Turns out they are not. They are close friends, but her obsession is so unhealthy. It just makes me wonder, did Thomas write this on purpose? Because this is a whole mess. Chloe manipulates Adrien into signing a petition under false pretenses and then uses it to create a fake personalized poster claiming that Adrien called her the love of his life. This deceitful behavior stems from her constant need to claim Adrien publicly. She's that one person who just wants to jump his bones and be like, I own him, I saw him first, he's mine, we're besties, we're close, we go way back. She even makes the girls cry a little bit more. Chloe brags about her exclusive connection with Adrien to other girls and mocks their emotional reactions. She feels very validated by their jealousy, showing how her need to dominate his attention rules her entire being. Despite Kim's heartfelt confession, Chloe humiliates him by taking a picture of his vulnerable state and mocking him publicly. Her obsession with Adrien blinds her to the other forms of affection that are out there for her, and not only that, they just hated her when they were writing her. So, nothing ever makes sense with her. She does these outlandish, crazy things. It shouldn't just be because her mom is a horrible bitch. It can't just be because her dad pretends to be the victim. No, it's something way bigger than that. Alia is always a key player when it comes to Marinette making these bad decisions, because imagine having a homegirl and your homegirl and even got her screws together up here, and it's Alia freaking Cesar. Alia repeatedly encourages Marinette to confess her feelings for Adrien regardless of Marinette's anxiety or readiness. She even drags her into situations that fuel Marinette's fixation, like watching Kim's gift plans. Alia views everything through a romantic lens, including a random ladybug landing on Marinette's love letter. She reinforces to Marinette that her beliefs and every single event is a sign tied to Adrien. And that is why I don't really mess with her sometimes. And then of course there is the classmates' adoration for Adrien. Chloe's poster causes other girls to burst into tears. I'm so serious, burst into tears, reinforcing how Adrien is idolized by the entire society. The collective emotional response highlights the unhealthy pedestal on which these classmates, particularly female, placed him. Now, let's talk about Ladybug's attempt to save Cat Noir in this episode, because it was written fan service for fan service for fan service. Because what do you mean she had to chase him up and down for a kiss? And then normally, if he wasn't akumatized, he would have been like, hell yeah. You know what? Hell yeah. It's actually just so crazy. And is this not a kid's show? Not like they did anything not kid friendly, but it's a bit the tension. Ladybug believes that the only way to save Cat Noir from Dark Cupid's influence is through a kiss. For some reason, her relentless pursuit of him, despite his resistance, portrays her as overly fixated on resolving the situation romantically. Oh, the writer is Thomas. I'm coming for you. Now we're going to be talking about Season 2's episode, Glaciator. Marinette's extreme reaction to rejection is showcased, including her inability to separate her feelings from her superhero duties, which puts her missions at risk. Marinette's disappointment when Adrien can't join her friends reveals her heavy reliance on his presence to enjoy social outings. Her despondence leads her to disregard Adrien's gestures and the group atmosphere. I used to hate this, that whenever I would like someone just a little bit, not even Marinette level, no, just a little bit, I would like want them to be at those events or those hangouts, and all of a sudden when they're not there, it's like, oh my god, things feel different, like this crush needs to stop. Marinette should have cut it off like that. Marinette latches onto the legend surrounding Andre's ice cream, even interpreting its supposed magic as a way to bring Adrien closer to her. This belief is shattered when the magic fails, leaving her dejected. After her ice cream incident and seeing a boy resembling Adrien, which is probably the most embarrassing thing I had ever seen, like, oh, you know what? It's literally watching Davy from Never Have I Ever, except I have more respect for Davy. I don't know. Comment down below, do you guys like Davy more or do you guys like Marinette? I can tell a lot about you from that. So after she sees this guy, Marinette spirals into a depressive state, viewing the night as a total loss. The emotional investment in every interaction related to Adrien highlights her obsessive tendencies. At home, Marinette chastises herself for ruining Andre's evening and her friends' plans, even though her reaction to the ice cream legend was irrational and extremely self-centered. While with Cat Noir, Marinette is preoccupied with his romantic disappointment and the setup he created for Ladybug. She becomes emotionally involved in his heartbreak, reflecting her sensitivity to romantic cues. Despite her interaction with Cat Noir, Marinette's actions seem indirectly motivated by her unfulfilled desires for Adrien, as she constantly ties her feelings and actions back to him. Then we have instigator number 1 back in action, which is Tiki herself. Tiki pushes Marinette to participate in Andre's ice cream ritual and repeatedly emphasizes its romantic undertones, fostering Marinette's belief that such gestures are critical to securing her love with Adrien. Ladybug's plan to pretend to be a couple with Cat Noir plays into the obsessive theme, leveraging romantic dynamics and even during high-stakes situations. Though strategic, it highlights her willingness to exploit emotions for tactical purposes. Ladybug feels compelled to address Cat Noir's disappointment and assure him that she didn't intentionally hurt him, taking on emotional responsibility for his romantic obsession with her. In some ways, Marinette's parents also perpetuate romantic obsession. In this episode, Marinette's parents perpetuate her romantic obsession by waxing poetic about Andre's ice cream and sharing their love story, which reinforces Marinette's expectations of a magical love, a seamless love. Andre's obsession with his ice cream's magical ability to solidify love mirrors Marinette's belief in romanticized destiny, adds external pressure to her already heightened fixation on Adrien. Let's talk about Season 2's episode, Zombisu. Miss Boustier's akumatization is rooted in her emotional attachment and love for another, reinforcing a pattern of women being overly sentimental or dependent on others. Marinette panics over her gift from Miss Bustier after others show theirs, implying her deep-seated insecurity and constant need for external validation. This is intensified when Adrien compliments her, which never makes anything better and definitely worse. Her whispered insult about Chloe, saying Chloe has no heart, to Alia happens in the presence of Adrien. This shows her tendency to frame situations or conflicts in ways that could elevate her image in front of him. Marinette's exaggerated emotional response to the sabotage of her gift by Chloe stems not only from the injustice, but also from the presence of Adrien and the fear of looking incompetent or unkind in his eyes. So, long story short, while Chloe is a pygmisha, Marinette was a bigger pygmisha for this? Yeah, we're saying the same thing. As usual, the usual suspect is here, Alia Cesar, who is always giving bad advice. Alia's reaction to Chloe's sabotage of Marinette's gift is extreme. She calls Chloe worse than Hawkmoth. Worse than Hawkmoth, showing an overzealous need to defend Marinette and her delusions, possibly influenced by her knowledge of Marinette's crush on Adrien. Alia's anger at Chloe, later on the bus for complaining about people attacking her personal space, seems to stem from an alliance with Marinette rather than the class as a whole, showing how interpersonal dynamics become more magnified by male-related rivalries. Chloe sabotages Marinette's gift because she feels insecure about not having brought a gift herself. This act demonstrates her desperate need for attention and validation, even if it comes at the expense of others. Throughout the episode, Chloe places herself in situations where she is either the victim or the reluctant savior, creating scenarios where she seeks the class's or Adrien's approval. Chloe uses Sabrina as a human shield when Zombizu targets her, showing an obsessive self-preservation instinct tied to her fear of losing face or being humiliated in front of others. Sabrina is another suspect, or should I say victim, to Chloe, because honestly, she doesn't need to be taking all this BS, but I guess she is, because high school hierarchy matters more than your mental health for some reason.
You get him? I didn't. You did, and it better be amazing, and it better not be late.
Sabrina defends Chloe by saying she doesn't remember birthdays like her mother, excusing Chloe's lack of effort. This dynamic shows Sabrina's obsessive loyalty to Chloe, possibly motivated by the need for approval or validation in their friendship. Sabrina's lack of independence and unquestioning servitude to Chloe is indicative of her inability to separate her identity from her role as Chloe's enabler. Miss Bustier transformed into Zombizu and becomes an exaggerated representation of obsessive love, which is very ironic considering the topic and what Marinette constantly exudes every episode. Her actions, infecting everyone to spread love through kisses, parallel the unhealthy way some of the female characters, e.g. Marinette and Chloe, seek love or validation in extreme and very misguided ways. The zombification metaphor illustrates how obsession spreads, affecting the entire class as they mirror Marinette, Alia, and Chloe's interpersonal conflicts. On the Eiffel Tower, Alia and Marinette's continued anger at Chloe reinforces the idea that their antagonism is fueled by deeper insecurities, particularly Marinette's unresolved feelings for Adrien. Alia's demand for Chloe to apologize to the entire class the next day reflects their inability to move past their rivalry, which is rooted in both their disdain for Chloe's behavior and their internalized need to win against her, especially where Adrien is concerned. As for Rose risks herself to save Chloe despite being called too slow by her afterward, showcasing an almost obsessive altruism that mirrors her attachment to others. This episode demonstrates how many of the female characters exhibit obsessive tendencies tied to validation from male characters or societal expectations. Whether it's Marinette's need for Adrien's approval, Chloe's desperation to outshine others, or Sabrina's unyielding loyalty to Chloe, their actions underscore how the show often links female character arcs to emotional extremes or rivalries, particularly in contexts involving men. Julika's insecurities about herself and her validation through others lead to her akumatization, showing how female insecurities are linked to external validation. Alia suggests asking Adrien to model for Marinette's website. Despite Marinette's reluctance, she faints at the thought of Adrien participating. Totally normal behavior, nothing to see here. This extreme physical reaction highlights her overwhelming fixation on him. During the photo shoot, Marinette becomes overheated and overly emotional, particularly when Adrien is involved. Her intense reactions show a lack of self-control when it comes to Adrien.
Does that work for you, Marinette?
Sure, you're perfect. I mean, it's perfect.
This one, it'll complement the suit really well.
I thought the same thing, Adrien. Adrien!
Turning what should be a creative project into a chance to be near him. Totally normal and not predatory in any way. When Alia suggests Marinette model alongside Adrien, Marinette doesn't assertively decline despite her discomfort, indicating her inability to set boundaries when it comes to Adrien, or even Alia. Highlighting suspect number 1, who is Alia. Alia pressures Adrien to participate in the photo shoot by pointing out his free time. her insistence stems from her awareness of Marinette's feelings for Adrien, making her complicit in encouraging Marinette's obsession. These kids simply were not spanked growing up. That's it. Because this is not what your parents sent you to school for. Especially you, Marinette. Try and make mom and dad proud. Alia continuously orchestrates scenarios that put Marinette and Adrien together, such as dragging them behind separate screens to change and suggesting that they both model. In this episode, Julica's decision to model is heavily influenced by Luca's encouragement and compliments. Her hesitation about modeling shows a dependency on a male figure to validate her confidence and dreams. When Marinette replaces Julica as the model, Julica blames herself, lamenting that she always ruins everything. This self-deprecation is a manifestation of her desire for external approval, which she previously sought from her brother Luca. Rose offers to stay behind with Julica instead of participating in the photo shoot, but her motives appear rooted in her intense bond with Julica rather than supporting her independence. Now, Rose and Julica I can excuse because they're actually kind of cute together, and I'm allowing this type of obsession, okay? Overall, Marinette's inability to focus on her designs without being consumed by Adrien's presence, Alia's fixation on pairing Marinette with Adrien, prioritizing Marinette's infatuation over the actual purpose of the photo shoot and the overall facts of reality, Julica's reliance on her brother's encouragement, and her spiraling into self-doubt whenever she feels rejected, all these actions perpetuate the idea that these characters' self-worth and emotional stability are tied to interactions with their male counterparts. So welcome to part 2 of this video, and I say part 2 because I feel like since I am dressed differently, it's going to, it's going to transmit into what I'm doing. So yes, this is part 2 of the video, and we are going to continue this video by getting into season 3's episode Desperata. Before I get into this, I know I don't look exactly like Alia right now because I promised I was gonna do closet cosplay. I wasn't gonna spend a dime beginning of the year trying to save up. I don't know what's going on with the TikTok ban right now, because that is a major source of income for me, and just overthinking right now. But how is that affecting you guys? How are you guys feeling about it? Yes, I'm dressed like Miss Alia Cesar, or Cesar, however they pronounce her name. I know the entire hair is red. Just think that I'm a Starfire adjacent version or whatever, okay? You see little bangs like Teen Titans Go or Teen Titans Starfire. Now, in episode 11, Desperata, it is so clear how Marinette makes Luca the placeholder in this situation. And I think it's just poor overall because he was literally the better option, or the best option for her at the time. He wasn't into anybody else but her. Mind you, she was still pining after Adrien, and while he was, kind of getting interested in Kagami, which really, the storyline with Kagami and Adrien needs a separate video, but it will be mentioned here that it was just so stressful watching it. In Desperata, Marinette's obsession with Luca as a placeholder for Adrien shows her difficulty in developing healthy and independent relationships. Adrien's obliviousness is evident when he prioritizes his role as Cat Noir over his time with Kagami. The episode emphasizes how Adrien's double life as a superhero complicates his relationships, leaving Kagami feeling sidelined. Marinette is saddened and jealous upon seeing Adrien and Kagami getting along despite being in the middle of a guitar lesson with Luca. Her fixation on Adrien's interactions with Kagami distracts her and influences her actions throughout this episode. Marinette misinterprets Alia's suggestion to recommend Luca as Jagged Stone's guitarist and instead suggests Adrien, showing her tendency to prioritize Adrien over logic or others' needs. Kagami assumes Luca is Marinette's boyfriend after seeing them together, and even the way Kagami was with Adrien, they were definitely dating, or they were a couple or something. Kagami assumes Luca is Marinette's boyfriend.
Adrien, it's cool you couldn't come alone. You came with someone. Kagami.
Girl, shut the fuck up. You thought you ate that?
Nice to see you too, Marinette. Have you come to watch your boyfriend rehearse?
After seeing them together, This reveals her underlying focus on relationships and competition, particularly in the context of Marinette's potential romantic interest, since both of them are both into the same guy, if we're being completely honest. Alia, Alex, and Miele, tell me I got that right, comment on how cute Luca and Marinette would be together.
Talented Luca, how long have you been playing for?
Since I was in diapers. I get the feeling Marinette likes Luca a lot. At least she can have a normal conversation with him without getting all... I guess you mean not like when she's with Adrien. At least Luca gets to go out whenever he wants.
Inserting themselves into Marinette's romantic decisions and treating her love life as a point of entertainment or gossip. I mean, the whole show does stem and circle around her love life and her romance life, which is very pathetic to watch. So yeah, it pretty much is gossip. Ladybug specifically chooses Adrien for the Snake Miraculous, calling him the perfect one for the job, and I kid you not, she literally fawns over this guy for the entire episode, you know, saying he has such a great sense of humor. Oh my god, you're so funny. Meanwhile, Cat Noir tells the exact same jokes.
You're not supposed to know, but yeah, he's the perfect guy for this mission.
You know, you can trust me and my incredible nose. If Adrien's down here, I'll find him for you.
And they fall flat when it's, you know, when it's him. Such an odd love triangle or love square. It's such a crazy love square. It doesn't matter because every other person, be it Kagami or Luca, does not exist in that love triangle love square, okay? It is literally just Cat Noir, Ladybug, Marinette, Adrien. That's it. This decision is heavily influenced by her romanticized perception of Adrien, despite there being a better suited candidate like Luca for that Miraculous.
Adrien Agrest, you're the Miraculous of the Snake, which grants the power of second chance. You will use it for the greater good. Once we defeat the supervillain, you will return the Miraculous to me. Can I trust you?
Yes.
Though this is not a female character's behavior, Adrien's repeated failure as aspect stemmed from his obsession with charming Ladybug. This becomes a key plot point that impacts Marinette's judgment of him. At the end of the episode, Kagami tells Marinette to choose between Adrien and Luca. Like, she said, girl, it is up and stuck. Pick your man right now, and I know you're not gonna dare to pick Adrien. Except she would. So, like I said, at the end of the episode, Kagami tells Marinette to choose between Adrien and Luca and emphasizes that life doesn't give second chances at love. Honestly, if Kagami was telling me this, I would have clocked her tea in real life. I would have been like, what's up? You know what, I can't, I don't know how to fight. I'll be so real. Kagami's comment to Marinette at the end of the episode reflects her obsession with defining romantic dynamics and creating constant competition. Alia reminds Marinette that Luca and Adrien also have the right to choose, subtly fueling Marinette's dilemma and keeping the focus on her romantic entanglement.
An entanglement with August.
Now, let's get into the episode Oni-chan. And no, I'm deadass. That is literally the name of the episode. Kagami's jealousy is highlighted in this episode when she feels threatened by Lila's closeness to Adrien. Her insecurities about Adrien's affection begin to show, and this episode sets the stage for her struggles with Adrien's emotional unavailability. Now, I just rewatched this episode, and it's so insane to me how Adrien is constantly the prize. The prize to the point to whereby he is constantly harassed or being stalked or forced or barely even given a chance to speak up or make choices on his own. Let's take his father, you know, he's another example of a stone blocking his path in his life because he's here trying to, you know, make his son stay at home or say he's not allowed to go out, which is insane considering the fact that he is the cause of like 99.9% of the entire city's problems. I'd say the country even. Marinette's inability to acknowledge Luca as anything more than just a friend, despite Alia's insistence, shows her hyper-focus on maintaining an open opportunity with Adrien. It's so desperate to watch, okay? I don't know why she wouldn't give Luca the proper chance that he deserved. But you know what? It's all well and good. It's all well and good. You finally got your man, girl. Congratulations. But you're still hiding behind bushes. Just think about it. On a pedestal level. Why? Why is your boyfriend on that kind of pedestal? Marinette's sadness over Adrien and Kagami's close relationship highlights her inability to separate herself from Adrien emotionally, even though their interactions are innocent. And this used to drive me absolutely wild when I was younger, like watching this back and forth, but knowing that Adrien is also just being nice. Like, Adrien is just being nice most of the time. Him dating Kagami, that was like the first time he had ever like gone up and been like, yeah, I'm gonna make that move and date this girl openly. We know Adrien's in love with Ladybug and whatever mess that is they were writing, but this was like his first real girlfriend. And it's just crazy to me that every single interaction that Marinette and Adrien had, well, at least prior to before he started to fall for her, yeah, they were pretty innocent. Marinette misinterprets Alia's suggestion to recommend Luca as Jagged Stone's guitarist and instead suggests Adrien, despite knowing Adrien is unexperienced. By commenting on Luca and Adrien's right to choose, Alia frames Marinette's love life as a competition between the two boys, rather than encouraging her to reflect on her feelings independently. Kagami assumes Luca is Marinette's boyfriend without context, reinforcing her tendency to focus on romantic relationships in her interaction with others. And also, it is coming from a protective stance. If Luca is Marinette's boyfriend, then yeah, my man is secure. Because it's always the battle of the Asian baddies, We have Kagami, Japanese baddie here, and then we have Marinette, a Asian baddie.
Asian baddie, Blasian baddie. I see rock, I don't sit no Maggie, I get shit loud when I spit no Cali.
And that seems pretty much like Adrien's type, as far as the series has been concerned so far. So let's talk the episode Heart Hunter from Miraculous Ladybug, because it's just so wild. Firstly, in this episode, we have Kagami and Adrien officially become a couple. However, Kagami's realization that Adrien doesn't feel the exact same way fully becomes more apparent. This marks the beginning of the end of their relationship. Firstly, we have them all hanging out like all is well, everything's gonna be good. Meanwhile, we know it's eeny, meeny, miny, mo to the last person becomes a third wheel. That is what is going on. Then we have this like little scene where Marinette's hair comes untied and she gets that compliment from Adrien and she's all flustered, and she's flustered when he compliments, and she starts to act super hypersensitive to every word and action. Marinette isolates herself when she sees Adrien and Kagami having their little ice cream moment, and she has to look away, and instead of comfort her feelings maturely, she has to burst out into tears and then lie about why she's bursting out into tears to Luca, saying that she's tired of not being who she really wants to be. Or I don't know, maybe I'm a hater, maybe I'm a D1 hater, but yeah, girl, I get that you can be upset, but just own that you're upset because you have made yourself obsessed. You have idolized and pedestalized this young man. Then she gets to dribble between that and Luca's attention, and I just feel like she should have valued Luca's attention a lot more, even if they weren't gonna be more than friends, which is kind of a dumb choice. There's always going to be that one male character that everybody wishes that the female character in the harem chose, and yeah, this is definitely one of the moments. Marinette has an emotional breakdown at the mere idea of Adrien liking Kagami, showing how much her emotional stability hinges on him. Despite Luca's gentle efforts to connect with her, Marinette is so consumed by Adrien that she doesn't notice or reciprocate Luca's interests. Kagami tells Ladybug that she and Adrien are made for each other, and also declares that she won't let him go, even at the expense of her friendship with Marinette. Now, she was clocking some major tea right there. Not for me, like, I am a girl's girl, but she is like, it is what it is.
Clock that tea. Clock it. Clock that tea. Clock it. Clock that tea.
If we're gonna have to fight for this guy, we're gonna have to fight for this guy. And if I have to drop a bitch, then bye-bye. Kagami consistently looks to Adrien for affirmation, much like Marinette, such as deferring to his judgment during their ice cream moment. Kagami also seeks to solidify her connection with Adrien after the chaos, signaling her fear of losing him. Want her. All the rich want her. Okay. Chloe's obsessive behavior over Ladybug and the Be Miraculous that also took place in this episode. They always write Miss Chloe like she's got problems that cannot be solved no matter what. Like, I don't know what it is. They just wanted her character arc to not be a character arc at all. They didn't want to develop her character. They didn't want to make her grow or just make her more palatable. They just wanted her to remain the mean, weird girl. Chloe becomes emotionally distraught when Ladybug chooses Kagami as an ally instead of her, despite Ladybug's repeated efforts to work with her in the past. Her dramatic gesture of throwing her B signal symbolizes her fixation on being acknowledged and valued by Ladybug, which the irony in it all is that Ladybug is Marinette and she hates Marinette but is so ready to be the biggest fan to Ladybug. Chloe's decision to join the dark side stems from her deep obsession with proving her worth and punishing Ladybug for perceived slights. Marinette and Kagami's actions in this episode revolve almost entirely around Adrien, showcasing their dependence on his attention and validation. Chloe and Adrien exhibit obsessive tendencies related to being acknowledged or maintaining dominance in their relationships. Each character, Marinette, Kagami, Chloe, prioritizes their romantic and emotional focus over their own well-being or friendships. Adrien remains completely unaware of Marinette's deep infatuation with him, even when she trips around him or isolates herself during the ice cream scene. His compliments about her hair, saying you look beautiful with your hair down, are innocent and lack romantic intent.
Wow, it's the first time I've seen you with your hair down.
Or does it? Yeah, pretty much. It is pretty much the canon that during that time, anything this guy says or does is literally not romantic at all. This is coming from someone who has the entire timeline a little bit jumbled up. I literally just started rewatching the show and I am remembering things so much different. How did they start dating? And as far as I'm concerned, they still don't know about each other's secret identities, because if they gave that away, then I guess it ruins the entire essential narrative of the show. There's the excitement. So when Adrien does make comments like, oh, you look beautiful with your hair down, it's innocent, but it does still fuel this girl's obsession. Adrien treats Marinette as a close friend, demonstrating emotional openness by holding her hand during the ball pit jump and showing disappointment when she leaves. However, this lack of romantic awareness exacerbates Marinette's internal conflict. Adrien is more intentional and reciprocal in his intentions with Kagami versus Marinette. He participates in the mock fencing battle with her and shares quiet moments, such as eating ice cream together and kissing her after the battle. Adrien's willingness to kiss Kagami suggests he may view her as a viable romantic partner, though his feelings still seem mild compared to her intense devotion. Adrien's neutral stance between Kagami and Marinette shows his attempt to be fair and kind. However, his inability to pick up on the tension between the two adds to their struggles. Luca provides consistent emotional support for Marinette even when she overlooks him. His creation of a song that matches Marinette and his offering of comfort during her emotional breakdown highlight his patience and selflessness. Despite Marinette's clear preoccupation with Adrien, Luca doesn't press her to return his feelings. A true gentleman at that, and I know that we shouldn't be praising men or boys or whatever for the bare minimum, but when you see a gentlemanly act, you can acknowledge it a little bit, not too much, just a little bit, because it's the bare minimum. So Luca never openly expresses frustration over Marinette's fixation on Adrien, even when she breaks down over her unrequited love. This unspoken acceptance subtly portrays Luca as someone willing to put Marinette's happiness above his own, though it may also reflect his tendency to suppress his own feelings. As for Gabriel Agreste, he takes advantage of Chloe's fixation on Ladybug and her feelings of rejection to manipulate her into joining him. He reinforces her insecurities, asking, "What has Ladybug done for you?" and offering her a twisted sense of validation in a sense. His calculated moves to exploit Chloe's obsession show his mastery of manipulation as he weaponizes her desire for recognition and trust. Though less emphasized in this episode, Gabriel's coldness towards Natalie, who frequently risks her health for him, parallels his disregard for others' emotions.
It's always the same. Whenever she's backed up against a wall, Ladybug engages others to fight by her side. I'm convinced that the Guardian of the Miraculous is who she seeks every time.
His singular focus on his own goals mirrors the obsessive tendencies of the female characters, albeit in a more calculated and self-serving manner. As a two-headed monster, Andre and Audrey's bickering continues even in their akumatized form, reflecting their dysfunctional dynamic. Despite their constant arguments, their shared transformation suggests a deep, albeit toxic, dependency on each other. Adrien and Luca show emotional awareness in different ways, Adrien through his kindness and Luca through his attentiveness. However, their passive roles often allow the female character's obsessive tendencies to escalate unchecked. Conversely, Gabriel, or Hawkmoth, demonstrates an acute understanding of emotions, but uses this awareness manipulatively. Adrien and Luca exhibit emotional restraint, while Marinette, Kagami, and Chloe are displayed as emotional and emotionally intense, and their fixation on romantic or validation-seeking goals makes this even worse. This restraint contrasts sharply with the obsessive behaviors of female characters. Adrien and Luca strive for neutrality and avoid taking sides in conflicts, whereas Gabriel actively exploits emotions for his own benefit. Gabriel's manipulative tendencies stand out as a darker, more calculated form of obsession. And I'm going to say obsession a lot in this video, and I already have. Now, to end part 2 of this deep dive video, we're going to be talking about the episode Lies, and I think it's an episode from season 4. And all we have to know about this episode is that, you know, when we saw Kagami and Adrien and shit was sweet, it's not sweet anymore. Like, we get to see the progression of their relationship, and eventually Kagami starts to clock that Adrien's really not present in this relationship and that she's dating herself. This episode is pivotal in showcasing the cracks in their relationship. Kagami grows increasingly frustrated with Adrien's inability to prioritize her or express his true emotions. She eventually breaks up with him, demonstrating her strength and self-respect. When the news switches to reports about Adrien, Marinette is captivated and admires his seemingly perfect life, reinforcing her unhealthy fixation. Kagami uses an early fencing class as an opportunity to isolate Adrien and engage him in her personal interests, like drawing. She insists on him posing repeatedly, unsatisfied until she perceives him as his real self, which reflects her controlling approach to understanding him. And don't even get me started on when she was trying to get him to pose. It just seems so, you know what I mean, handsy and just very, like, Adrien's like a deer in the headlights. That is how they make it seem. So like I said, Kagami physically backs Adrien against a wall, asserting what she believes to be his true nature. This culminates in her attempting to kiss him without fully acknowledging his discomfort or hesitation. Why Thomas Astruck is writing women like this, I have no clue. And we probably won't have a clue. But it is concerning. Throughout the episode, Kagami frequently creates or manipulates scenarios to monopolize Adrien's time, such as lying to spend more time with him or attempting to guide his actions during their interactions. Kagami confronts Adrien about his lies, revealing her awareness of his evasive behavior. I think this is the episode where we get that very viral TikTok sound, that episode where she goes, "Do you love me too?"
Sorry, I thought I saw a wasp.
Do you love me too?
Excuse me?
What did she say?
So yada yada, Kagami confronts Adrien about all his lies. She reveals that she's aware of his evasive behavior. Her own admission of lying to stay close to him underscores how obsessive she is and how much she needs his presence. This episode highlights recurring themes of unbalanced and obsessive relationships, especially in the interaction between Marinette, Kagami, and Adrien. Marinette's idolization of Adrien and Kagami's attempts to control their time together both reflect unhealthy attachments. While the behaviors of these characters add complexity to their personalities, they also perpetuate a narrative that romantic relationships must involve obsession, or must be obsessive or overly intense with emotions, which can be problematic in shaping audience perceptions. What's the rating for Miraculous Ladybug? I remember watching this like so many years ago, and it's still going with me in my 20s, which is kind of insane. Comment down below if that's insane. Yeah, so the show is for ages 11 or up. and I definitely fall into the category of up. With that draws the end of part 2 of this video essay. Now I will see you guys in part 3. Welcome to part 3 of this video. As you guys can see, no over the top outfit or, outfit inspiration today. But if you really want to think about an outfit that I might be giving from Miraculous, let's say Milan, whatever her name is, you guys know who I'm talking about. Because the hair, and also I've always wondered whether she's culturally appropriating or not, because as far as I'm concerned, she's of French descent. But I move on, I digress. Let's go on. We're gonna start this part of the video by talking about the 2-part finale, Risk. Part 1 and part 2. So this is like Shadow Moth's final battle. The whole plot in a nutshell is that Adrien is going to either move away or, move for the time being to do some modeling gigs, and that Lila is going to be following him. If you don't know who Lila is, and if I haven't talked about Lila yet, I'm quite surprised. I am picking episodes at random and more focusing on what I want to talk about. So if you don't know who Lila is, you need to go back and rewatch all of that, and I'm sorry about that. But long story short, just like Chloe and other obsessive females in this show, she is just someone completely, utterly smitten with Adrien, to the point whereby she even forms an alliance with his father, who we all know is bad news. So Marinette is consumed by Adrien's departure for the worldwide campaign. When she sees the news about Adrien leaving with Lila, she panics, acting like it's the end of the world. No, she quite literally says that it's the end of the world. She hides in a trash can to spy on Lila and Adrien, which demonstrates an obsessive tendency to monitor his interactions and basically hitting an all-time low, because that is low. So the akumatized villain is this little kid who makes people take risks. So, Marinette gets overcome by this strong force that makes her want to tell Adrien how she feels before it's too late. And on the flip side, I'll be like, yeah, you know what? It's been 4 seasons. Let's get this over with, okay? It's time to find out if he's really into you or not. So, that was not gonna happen. Can we also talk about how Adrien is constantly doing things innocently, but ends up giving the wrong idea to either the viewers or to Marinette herself? Because there's no way he grabs her whole hand, like, we're in this together, and be like, oh, have you ever felt the burden of wanting to tell someone something and not being able to tell them, while, holding your hand and acting all romantic, and then we're meant to believe he's doing it from another place? It's really frustrating, okay? Thomas, this has been a very frustrating ride. But I guess it's my fault for putting myself and subjecting myself through the pain of rewatching these episodes for this video. Despite knowing Adrien's departure is his father's decision, Marinette plans to save him from going, even when her friends advise her otherwise. Let's talk about how this is the first time that her friends have ever put their foot down and actually clocked her tea, whereas in the past and earlier on in this video, you have probably seen where I called Mrs. Alia Cesar an instigator, someone who fans the flames. Now she's putting her foot down and saying, you know what, this is weird as hell. You should just let him go and stop acting like a freaking weirdo. You're not his girlfriend, and he's gonna check you one of these days if you keep embarrassing yourself. Also, easy for Alia to say when Alia is so deeply involved in Nino, and they actually gave her a pretty decent relationship. Like, I don't know why people are afraid of having a decent relationship, but the problem with most of these ships always tends to be, what is the relationship or the ship after the kiss? What is it after that peak moment that the fans have been anticipating for a long time? And if you grew up on Cartoon Network or literally watch any of the shows in the 2000s, ships must have frustrated the hell out of you, because I know they did me. Obviously, Marinette dismisses others' opinions, such as Alia's rationale advice to let Adrien make his own decisions, because her emotions will override logic. Now let's talk about Lila in this episode, because she's just straight up conniving and just all around obnoxious and cringe, and I just wish that the girls would do a little bit better for themselves. Lila eagerly embraces the opportunity to travel with Adrien and lies about the ability to speak almost every single language, yes, to impress him and others in class. She uses deceit and charm to position herself closer to Adrien, even going as far as feigning illness, ballophobia, to avoid competition with Marinette in gym class. Lila interrupts Marinette's moment with Adrien deliberately inserting herself to prevent their connection. This calculated interference shows how obsessed she is with maintaining control over Adrien's attention. It's actually obnoxious to watch. She collaborates with Chloe to further sabotage Marinette, pushing her aside and leveraging her relationship with Adrien for personal gain. Right before Adrien is about to go off, there's a scene where Chloe's like, well, bye Adrien, mwah, mwah. I'll see you on my private jet because, you know, I have easy access to fly anywhere I want, unlike the peasants behind me. And then obviously Lila's going with him on that trip, and then Marinette is sitting duck, playing actual real life sitting duck. Chloe physically pushes Marinette away from Adrien and hugs him to assert her dominance, reinforcing her obsession. Also, at the beginning of this episode, we get to see that Natalie is literally killing herself to help Gabriel aggressed. She's literally pushing herself to the maximum extreme. She has this whole hip binder, hip holder thing going on. And honestly, I thought to myself, girl, what are you upholding here? What? Because as far as I'm concerned, you want him. You want Hawkmoth. Maybe he has an appeal, I don't know. You want him. If he couldn't have his wife, he's obviously going for you next. But his obsession with his wife should be enough reason for you to stop helping him. I don't know. Preach, preach. Also, let's add in Kagami because she did appear in this episode, and honestly, it was really weird watching this two-part ending with Felix involved in the mix, because honestly he threw me off so bad, like Senti Monster or something of the sort. He threw me off really, really bad, but he did have a little bit of a point when he was like, clock your dad's tea, you're not gonna sit here your whole life, you need to stand up to this man. Can we also talk about how Kagami getting a romantic plot line with Felix was just the most obnoxious thing you could ever do? Yes, I'm gonna say obnoxious a lot in this video, because what do you mean that Felix had to do literally nothing to atone for his sins towards the end of it, and also got to have Kagami? And for Kagami, this, you know, Felix, Adrien's lookalike, that's pretty much a consolation prize right there on the table for her. So, you know, there's a lot that needs to be dissected from their relationship and that storyline, but I really wanted to talk about Felix. And then at some point we have this woman who is, you know, Felix's mom, who looks exactly like Adrien's mom, and Hawkmoth's wife burst through the doors. You know, honestly, for me, I would have thought that would have been enough for him. He would have been like, oh, you know what, this will do. But no, obviously he goes to the full extreme for the real deal. So the next Miraculous episode that we're going to be talking about is called Emotion. And basically in this episode, we get to see that finally Adrien and Marinette have decided to be in a relationship. How? Don't ask me. Just go rewatch the entire show. Honestly, I wouldn't even waste my time doing that, because, you know, they irk me as a couple. And I'll explain that in another video if you want. Marinette's progression into obsessing over her relationship with Adrien while neglecting her superhero role is explored. This whole episode, she's acting, you know, like a fish out of water. She goes to the party that she's not invited, to giving very much the girls that stay in their boyfriend's car with coloring books. Like, you weren't invited, why are you even getting yourself together to go there? So she gets there, and you know, it's really a relief that it wasn't Adrien to begin with over there, because as we know, we had the whole Felix Adrien thing going on for the last couple of episodes, and I think I've talked about those episodes. But yeah, Marinette does not know how to be in a relationship. Just like I prefaced the beginning of this video by saying that season 6 Marinette is literally backtracking any little, and when I say little, I mean very little progress that has been made with her character. She is still a stalker, she is still going to the extremes, she's still obsessive, and the show fails to capture how her obsession is a problem. And I think this is one of the biggest qualms I have with Miraculous Ladybug as a whole. Adrien must attend the Diamonds dance organized by his father and Kagami's mom. He will be the king of the ball alongside Kagami, who has been chosen to be this year's queen. Neither Adrien nor Kagami want to go, but they're only teenagers who cannot disobey their parents' orders. When she finds out that Adrien did not dare to tell her about the dance, Marinette decides to go too. She immediately questions Adrien's excuse for leaving the date, turning to Tiki to analyze whether Adrien's acting weird or not. And obviously we have Tiki, who for the first time checks her and tells her to calm down. Despite claiming she no longer obsesses over Adrien's schedule, Marinette knows his routine so well that her friends tease her about this. Marinette pretends to be from a wealthy family, creating a fake identity to infiltrate this ball and monitor who Adrien talks to. Yeah, Kagami. Also, I wanted to take note of the conversation between Lila and Kagami because Lila's been a recurring character, throughout the entire series, and she's just all around irritating. So when Kagami checks her and tells her you're not a precious star, you're not that girl. You're not that girl, you're not that guy.
Okay? You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
It could be a little bit of, she could be neurodivergent or something because that was so unnecessary. Marinette immediately confronts Adrien, and when I say Adrien, I mean Felix, at the ball about not telling her where he was going, showing her inability to trust or respect his personal boundaries. Kagami expresses dissatisfaction with her mother and Gabriel regrets planning to pair her with Adrien as the king and queen of the ball, which indicates an external pressure to obsess over a romantic relationship with Adrien. What pissed me off the most about Kagami's storyline as the series goes on, and especially at this point, is the way that they kind of forced Felix onto her. And I feel like I don't remember it explicitly well, but it does get to an episode where they actually do profess their feelings for each other and she just takes him. He doesn't have to go through any of the struggles that the other female characters go through,
mow through.
and it's very annoying to watch. We have Chloe, who is wicked and mean for no reason. No viable excuse has been given throughout almost 6 seasons as to why she's like this. We don't get to explore that or change that or develop the narrative. But all of a sudden we have Felix, who does, wreaks havoc on the world quite literally and gets the girl. And what? Just like I said before, what's that, a consolation prize for Kagami, who gets to fall in love secretly, not knowing that it's Felix till a certain time. It's weird. Kagami openly engages with Adrien at the Diamonds Dance, where their interaction is observed as part of the perfect pairing narrative. Her compliance in dancing with Adrien emphasizes how external forces push her into being romantically linked to him. Kagami also furiously attacks Felix for his actions, showing a protective and emotional reaction tied to her attachment to Adrien, which was actually kind of interesting to see, especially since she is one of those characters that they make a little bit cold. So, getting any kind of emotion out of her is a big win, I guess. Overall, this episode highlights the unhealthy dynamics of female characters obsessing over Adrien, Marinette's invasive behavior, Kagami's compliance with societal pressures, Alia's enabling attitude, and Chloe's hostility all revolve around one person, Adrien. The obsessive tendencies are driven by a mix of romantic interest, external expectations, and competitive rivalries, portraying an imbalanced narrative that reduces the female characters to their connections to male characters. Before we move on to the final episode of the deep dive, if you haven't subscribed and you've been watching, what are you even doing with your life? Subscribe to my channel, guys. Subscribe. That's how I sponsor my videos, by you guys liking, commenting, sharing. That is how a small YouTuber like me is able to sponsor myself in a way. In the Miraculous episode Collusion, Chloe's continued one-dimensional villainization is discussed, showing her lack of growth and how her motivations are always tied to, can you guess the name? Adrien.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
The school year is approaching, and the revolution is rising. Monarch decides to set up a dangerous plan for his secret identity, but also for Ladybug and Cat Noir. Without knowing it, the villain will get help from Lila, who is controlling a meaner than ever Chloe behind the scenes. As for Marinette, she doesn't know that Adrien does not dare to tell her a dreadful secret that could jeopardize their relationship forever. Marinette spends much of her on-screen time worrying about Adrien and their relationship, despite her own challenges with Chloe, Cerberus, and school politics. Her primary concern is to reassure everyone that no one can stop Adrien and Marinette from loving each other. Yes, I am so serious. Marinette and Adrien's mutual inability to take a simple step like kissing showcases an exaggerated focus on their romantic milestone, making it a significant plot for Marinette instead of her other priorities. Marinette's decisions and interactions always circle back to ensuring Adrien's well-being, especially when he grapples with Gabriel's constant control control over his life. Chloe's primary motivation throughout the episode is ensuring that her father continues to prioritize her demands and remains in power. She lashes out at him, parrots her mother Audrey's beliefs, and repeatedly manipulates him to do her bidding. Chloe continues her vendetta against Marinette, arguably because Marinette is romantically involved with Adrien, a person Chloe has always fixated on throughout the series. Beyond her father, Chloe also targets Gabriel to try and exert influence, indirectly acknowledging her frustration with losing Adrien's affection and attention. Ceresa's schemes, like keeping tabs on Marinette and other key Parisians, are motivated by her need to one-up Marinette. This rivalry stems partially from her jealousy of Marinette's relationships with Adrien and other peers. Cerise feeds into Chloe's obsession with power and control, ensuring that Chloe remains an ally in her schemes, strategically leveraging Chloe's insecurities about her father's authority. I have no clue what Thomas was thinking, making a character like Chloe and then going on and then making a character like Lila and then letting them meet. Like, that is explosive right there. So this is going to lead me into the final part of this video. Writing female characters whose primary drive revolves around seeking male validation perpetuates harmful stereotypes of women as overly emotional, jealous, and dependent. These portrayals, while they can be realistic in some sense, undermine the complexity and individuality of female characters, reducing them to caricatures rather than fully realized people. Instead of exploring their personal goals, ambitions, and struggles, the narrative often centers on their romantic pursuits, reinforcing outdated gender norms. This obsession-centered writing limits the potential for meaningful character growth. Female characters like Marinette and Chloe are repeatedly written into the same cycles of romantic frustration or rivalry. These missed opportunities deprive the audience of seeing their full potential and dilute the story's emotional depth. For instance, Marinette's ingenuity as a superhero is overshadowed by her problematic obsession with Adrien, which often derails her focus. A significant consequence of this narrative choice is the lack of positive portrayals of female friendships. Instead of supporting and uplifting one another, female characters are frequently pitted against each other in competition over male attention. This dynamic reinforces the stereotype that women cannot coexist without conflict, overshadowing the potential for empowering storylines centered on camaraderie and mutual growth. Male characters like Adrien are given more balanced motivations and opportunities for growth. It really makes you wonder why. While Adrien's romantic struggles are present, they do not define his character. He is also explored through his family dynamics, moral dilemmas, and personal challenges, giving him greater narrative depth. In contrast, the female characters are often one-dimensional, defined by their emotional struggles or unreciprocated emotions. The obsession-centered writing of female characters in Miraculous Ladybug not only perpetuates negative stereotypes, but also hinders the narrative's overall richness, shifting the focus to more well-rounded portrayals, emphasizing personal growth, healthy friendships, and diverse motivations. These would not only strengthen the characters, but also offer more relatable and inspiring representations for the audience. This contrast highlights the need for greater narrative equity, ensuring female characters are given the same depth and complexity as their male counterparts. Thomas Astruc's role in shaping the narrative. Thomas. So, if you didn't know, Thomas Astruc is the creator of Miraculous Ladybug, not just Miraculous Ladybug, okay? He is also the creator of a show that we all grew up with called Totally Spies. Thomas Astruc, the creator of Miraculous Ladybug, has garnered controversy over his interactions with fans, particularly on social media. He has often dismissed valid criticisms from the fandom, especially those surrounding the show's writing of female characters and narrative inconsistencies. This dismissive attitude has led to a perception that Astruc is resistant to change and willing to engage constructively with the concerns of passionate and invested audiences. This resistance is reflected in the series itself, where recurring flaws such as obsession-centered character arcs and repetitive storytelling remain unaddressed. By dismissing criticism, the opportunity to evolve the series and meet its full potential is also lost, impacting its overall quality and how it's perceived by both its fans and its critics. Constructive engagement with feedback could allow the show to grow in ways that appeal to its diverse audience, but I guess this is as far as it's gonna go, given the fact that Thomas does not like to hear anything from anyone. Now this draws me to the end of this deep dive video. If you actually stay to the end, you are so real. You're a real one. You are. Because honestly, I just be yapping. I really do just be yapping. Revisiting Miraculous Ladybug really made me think about all the ways that it could improve its plot. You know what? I'm not a hater of Miraculous Ladybug. This video is made, quite frankly, for the reason that I do like it, and it is something that gives me a lot of nostalgia. I grew up with it, you know what I mean? So this is just me being a total fangirl and taking time out of my very busy grad school life to do this. But you know what? It was worth it in the end, because I can look back on this anytime, even with 2 views. Moving forward, if the show really wants to take on a more serious plotline, I really don't know if it's too late to do it now because we're in season 6. But yeah, do away with that plotline. We do not need to see Marinette in season 6 right now hiding behind the trash or hiding in bushes or pretending to get akumatized. It's embarrassing, it's overused, it's reused, it's rehashed, and we're done, okay? We can't keep doing this. Also, rumor has it that Sublime is after her man and is probably going to get him. I think them breaking up makes a lot of sense narrative-wise. There's nowhere it's going, okay? There's nowhere this relationship is going, for goodness sake. At the time I am rounding up this video, it is currently the 2nd of February on a Sunday evening, and it's incredible because I've been planning this video since I think probably the 1st of January. So yeah, let me know when you guys see this. Let me know when this video goes up for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share, and I'll see you guys in my next video. We have more amazing videos on this channel, by the way. Don't forget to check it out. Also, that's Kuromi. Yeah.